I'm Gary here. Anyone out there yet? It's 6:30 Mountain Time, and it's my live stream for Bizarre Brain Comics. And I am Gary, your host. Nobody online yet, huh? Oh well. We'll we'll hang in there for just a little bit and see how it goes. Have me a little pop. And oh, last time was about a month ago. This is the second Wednesday of the month, and my wife is a beekeeper. Hey, there's one. Hi. My wife is a beekeeper, and she has a bee club meeting tonight. That's why I do my live stream now. Last time I did it upstairs in the living room. Now I'm back down in the basement where I usually shoot my videos, just because I had an accident and a couple of weeks ago, and slip and fall, and I just tore that quad tendon from my kneecap, my left leg. Oh, hurt like a son again. And a week ago I had surgery, and now I got two of them on there. And so I had surgery on that knee a week ago, and so I'm handicapped. I can't get around very well. My leg is straight as a post, and just sitting here like this is awkward and difficult. So yeah, and if you're out there, go ahead and say something so I can respond to you. And the yeah, so I got but before we get going in that, I want to tell you a little story. After my surgery, I just come out waking up in recovery, and in recovery, and I was just waking up, and I was thinking, I could think in English, fine, perfectly fine. I tried to speak and I couldn't speak English, and that's weird. And so I told the lady, "Go that bet all wit," and she go, "What?" No. So I go, "Bet all wit," and they went and got my wife. Says, "Does your husband speak English?" Go, well, yeah. Well, what's wrong? You come in there, and I could only speak Klingon. For the first 3 or 4 minutes that I was awake, I could only speak Klingon. I could think in English, but I could only speak Klingon. It says, Jeff Grant, I'm sorry to hear about your injury. Well, it'll echo. Thanks. Keep me in your thoughts. Yeah, so I'll be hobbling around and having difficulty getting around and having physical therapy for the next few months probably. Yeah. So I could, but that's funny. I could only speak English. I mean, I speak Klingon, and my wife shot a video and she posted it on her YouTube channel, which is called Amy's Interests. It's a short. Go check it out. And I'm there, and I was just laughing because I thought it was so funny that I couldn't speak. And I go, Bick, I was asking for water. And she knew what I was saying, and I reposted it on several things on Facebook, and even to the KLI, the Klingon Language Institute, and they responded, "Oh, we can quite clearly understand what you said." That's funny, and Call of Duty Gamer High, and and that was it. So we're here this time to last my last live stream. I did Tarzan comic strip stuff. This time I'm going to do Buck Rogers comic strip stuff, and I'm thinking next time maybe we'll do Flash Gordon comic strip stuff. But before we get, I want to plug my books. I haven't done that in a while. Is plug my books. I got Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology and Bizarre Brain Comics Presents Heroes, both $7.99 each. Available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, online stores, etc. And sorry, yes, it's reversed. I can't help it. That's the way the phone is. Uh, yeah, excellent. And you can see some of the pictures. This is mostly humor on this one. That's the anthology, and then heroes. That's got superhero stuff and a little bit of horror stuff in there. $7.99 each. If you don't have it yet, give it a shot. Ow! I smacked my leg. so I do want to thank you all for joining me. And well, went down to 7. Well, that's fine though. Now, Buck Rogers. in the 25th century. Do you realize that Buck Rogers will be 100 years old in 3 years? Dextify, what's up, man? I'm just talking, trying to get started. I was telling the story about my injury and stuff. Okay, so most people are at least familiar with Buck Rogers, primarily the 7980 TV series starring Gil Gerard. I did an episode on the comic adaptation of that, but of course Buck Rogers started in the comic strips, and is probably familiar with the blah, 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 movie serials from the 30s and 40s. Well, actually, they only did one Buck Rogers starring Buster Crabbe, and Buster Crabbe also played Flash Gordon in two movie serials. The roles he is most strongly identified with, even though he after that he made many more Western movies after the fact, after that period. So I was just going to show you a little bit of this. It's Cosmic Heroes. Well, while I'm talking about it just wants to go flop. Buck Rogers in the 25th century is the science fiction adventure hero. Hi, what's up, man? Yeah, I can feel the same. I got in a bad car accident. Ooh. Unfortunately, mine was just a slip and fall on some wet, muddy grass. But my whole weight came down on my bent leg on that knee. A science fiction adventure hero featured in comic strip created by Philip Francis Nolan, and he first appeared in strip form in U.S. newspapers on 1/7/29, 1929. Thereafter, appearing in strips and other media, he had a radio show. And in 32. Radio show in 32, movie serials, TV shows, and books, novels. The original strip ran daily and Sundays from 1929 to 1967, and is syndicated by the John F. Dill Company, which was later called the National Newspaper Syndicate. And it was popular enough to inspire other syndicates to launch their own science fiction strips, primarily stuff like Flash Gordon and Brick Bradford. The strip was based on the novella Armageddon 2419 by Philip Francis Nolan. It first appeared in Amazing Stories in 1928. And then it was followed up with a sequel story called Airlords of Han, which... sequel to the first. In the book, the character's name was not Buck Rogers, though. It was Anthony Rogers, but I think he needed a little bit more butch-sounding name. And of course, they changed it to Buck for the strip. And both novellas were combined into a single novel called Armageddon 2419 AD. And I've got a copy of that. I can't find it. I think it's out in the garage. But I do have some others, because in the early 80s they had a series of novels that were sequels to that, not associated with Buck Rogers at all. This was a direct sequels to the Anthony Rogers story. So he was Anthony Rogers, and had they reprinted Armageddon 2419, and then they started the novels. Mordred was the first one, and I don't remember what order these others were. I think there's only 4 of those. Warrior's Blood by Richard McEnroe, Warrior's World by Richard McEnroe, and Rogers Rangers by John Silverback. Silversack. But did you know that Buck Rogers? Okay, the story. Of course, it was the comic strip. He was in a cave, collapsed. He was an engineer of some kind. Had a cave in, some kind of gas, kept him preserved in suspended animation for 500 years. And so, but did you know that Buck Rogers is so closely associated with rocket ships, spaceships, and aliens and stuff like that. But that's not how what it started with. Yeah, man. Hey, Jeff. Good evening. Hi, Jeff. And good to hear from you. Tell your sister howdy for me. And he they did not have the rocket ships. It was just like in the original book. They flew airplanes, biplanes, and here's some examples. Not so much of the aircraft because this is later. This is I got here. I've got some more issues elsewhere in the late '80s. Eternity Comics was reprinting comic strips. This is issue number 4. This is a real nice cover illustration, and it's drawn by Dick Calkins, who drew the strip for many years. And but this cover and a couple others, I think, were colored by Bruce Timm. Yeah, that's right, Bruce Timm from Batman the Animated Series. Okay. But you can see here, they flew airships, biplanes, and the enemy. Now this goes back to the early 20th century, the Yellow Peril crap stuff. So the main enemy was the Han, who were Chinese, and they had more advanced technology, and they had they flew in airships. That's airships that were similar to the dirigibles from the early 20th century, except instead of having gas bags for buoyancy, they had rep rays, which are called rep rays, which was repulsor rays, which elevated, kept the ships in the air, and their primary weapons were dis rays, which were disintegrator rays, and the Americans, Buck Rogers, Wilma, all of those, their weapons were rocket pistols. So they'd fire a rocket powered projectile, and they're also, Buck Rogers also think of the jetpacks. They didn't have jetpacks, but what they did have was a pack that nullified gravity enough to keep them so that they their body weight was just a few pounds, so they could leap long distances, kind of like John Carter of Mars. So they could leap long distances, and also that would be used as a parachute. So that they would, if they got shot down, they would float down here. And of course, Dick Calkins was the original cartoon artist and cartoonist, and it's very old-fashioned looking. Daily strips, and a lot of line work in there. But you'll see here that the not nearly as much line work in the when he was doing the colored Sundays. So I'm going to look here. That was 4, 9. Here is 10. And when this series started, I don't think they series of the books. I don't think Upside Down. I don't think they started at the beginning of the run of the stories. And then we have issue 11. Okay. Now here, I'm going to show you this here. This is a big heavy book. Buck Rogers. The first 60 years in the 25th century. So this is from 1987, this book. And it's a lot of the stuff in here was originally printed in this other book too, but that I'm going to show you. But this was done in conjunction. At the time, there was I think it was a board game, Buck Rogers board game. Come on, I don't know anything about that. But they also had a series of novels in conjunction with that, tied into the board game, or maybe it was a role-playing game. I don't know. And they, because I don't play role-playing games. So, I said, I love how passionate you are about all of this. Well, it's fun. It's the stuff that I like. That's not a sponsor to you. And preface. Now, where is it? Now, as I said, it started with Armageddon 2419. And fortunately, this volume, this book, reprints the complete original story. Unfortunately, it does not have the sequel story to it. And this is the cover. And it's a very famous cover for Amazing Stories magazine. And this is basically the kind of look that they followed through with the book. And then this has the the story as it appeared in the magazine. There's some illustrations, and we'll clear through there. Then we get to our first real story. Here you can see they're flying around. If you can make it out, flying around in biplanes. Because remember, this is still originally in the 20s. So they were just projecting. This is shortly after Buck first arrived, and here's their enemy, the Han, who are just Chinese, and with some very racist concepts and depictions at the time. But it wasn't very long before they started introducing rocket ships. They had some unusual, funny-looking rocket ships. It's like right there. And I have to say that Flash Gordon, for the most of its run, was more popular than Buck Rogers, and I think that's largely due because they had better draftsmanship in most of it. You can see some of the silly looking rocket ships, but hey, they didn't know what they were going to be looking like. That's Meeting the Mongols. Okay, and here we have you can see some of the comic strips, Sunday strips, still drawn by Calkins, but it doesn't have nearly as much line work in it because and these were shot from the original hand-colored proofs. It's some really nice stuff, and said ISR, the company that published D&D, or TSR. It was very hard to promote their Buck Rogers game. Yeah, that's probably was. The company was run back in the late 80s and early 90s, yeah, by a woman named Lorraine Williams, whose family owned the rights to Buck Rogers. But here, the line work is much finer and it looks better. I don't know if you can see it that well or not. So yeah, unfortunately, with this phone, I've got to have it. I can't have it horizontal. I've got to have this vertical image. And of course, everything is reversed. But this is some really nice looking stuff here. And then, we have a variety of over the years, a variety, because it ran from up to 1967 originally. Here's what's his name? Murphy Anderson. This is in the 40s, 1940s, and of course, he's one of the big artists for science fiction comics. And I think a lot of it is his interpretation of the character is where we get a lot of the imagery for the old Buck Rogers and the rocket ships. And of course he was one of the artists for many years, primary inker for Kurt Swan on Superman for many years. He did other science fiction stuff in the 50s, Lars of Mars and other things, and he was the original artist. I think on Adam Strange, and that whole Buck Rogers look carried through a lot of the DC comics, and in the 50s. Some more Murphy Anderson. And get something more. Oh, but I want to get a little farther here. Yeah, here we go. But then in the 60s, we had something like George Tuska. This was just a few years before George Tuska was doing Iron Man at Marvel. See if you can, it's kind of a lot of glare on that. See if you can see that a little bit. And that's that book. Ooh, flop. And then we have this one here, which has a lot of the same material in it. This book is originally from 1969. This copy is from reprint from 1977. says a new revised edition, the collected works of Buck Rogers in the 25th century. And this has a lot of that same material. Mars invades Earth. Here's some Sunday stuff that completed as printed. And some really great stuff. Then here is also in the 50s. This book here. This book is from 2003. I got it secondhand. I only bought this for $3. I don't know what the original price would have been. I'm not even sure if this was intended to be sold or if it was proof or what have you. This is Buck Rogers, 25th century. This is by Rick Yeager. It's from 52 and 53. And his style is, to me, is kind of reminiscent of Dick Calkins with a little bit of Murphy Anderson thrown in, but his draftsmanship isn't nearly as nice. And I forgot to keep looking. Well, got 5 people. Who else we got out there? Who else we got out there? Oh. And Buck Rogers. There we go. But then, with the popularity of the Buck Rogers movie and TV series, even though the TV series only lasted 2 seasons, the year before they had the movie that the series was based on, and that was pretty good. But it was popular enough for them to bring back the comic strip for a couple years, but now. So here we have Buck Rogers in the 25th century. This is written by James Lawrence and drawn by Gray Marlowe. Gray Marlowe, he was just a great artist, did all kinds of stuff. He was one of the co-creators of Man-Thing at Marvel, and he even did some Star Trek at DC. I don't know what else. And he was a fine painter. Did a lot of science fiction novel covers, primarily known to me from the early 70s as Perry Rhodan. And that look is carried through in here too. You can see. But this was kind of tied in to the TV show a little bit. Killer Kane and Ardala were still criminals, not so much apprentice, but they did bring in Tweaky and some of the few of the other concepts early on from the TV show, but that all kind of faded away. And some well written and some beautifully drawn stuff. And I don't know of any other. Of course, there was also have been a few reboots of comic books, most of which I've not really seen. And also in the I think it was late '80s, it was about the time of the game, there a proper novel was written. I have a copy someplace out in the garage, a hardback novel of Buck Rogers, and that was just the title. And it was very much updated and made more realistic. And it was written by author Martin Caidin. And while you may not be familiar with that name, Martin Caidin, you are familiar with one of his best-known creations, which was The $6 Million Man. It was based on the novel Cyborg by Martin Caidin, and he wrote four Cyborg novels, and that prior to that he had been just primarily an aviation writer for both technical and fiction and stuff like that, and he wrote novels about World War II and stuff, and he was a consultant on various things at NASA in the 60s, and he wrote a novel about First on the Moon, I think it was the title of it, about a novel in the 60s, but it was about the Russians landing on the moon first and problems that might cause, and then he got into the fringing, blending into science fiction with Cyborg, and most of his work from through the 70s and 80s was primarily science fiction. After that, I think it made it, maybe it sold better, and so those were all of the books that I had planned to show you. It's some really neat and nice stuff. And of course, and those books are probably may well be older than some of you people out there. Of course, I've only got three of you watching now. Momentarily, I was up to 14, and then it went down to 7, and back down to 3. Well, that's fine. Whatever. Anybody got any questions for me? I know I'm just gabbing away, but I haven't been posting anything. What's it? Actor Deluxe 4 for what? Oh, 411. It's print. It's so small. It's hard to read. El actor Deluxe. And anybody got any questions? I may or may not be able to answer. Let me know. Of course, everyone remembers the Buck Rogers movie and TV series. And at that time, the science fiction stuff was so rare. I saw Buck Rogers when I was in the Navy in Virginia, stationed in guided missile school in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I saw Buck Rogers movie. Must have been 4 or 5 times in the theater. Yes. Do you have art to show? Oh, not really, not particularly. I just the stuff that I already have sitting around here, which I have nothing science fiction. It's just some stuff I had laying here, which I for some of the recent videos that I've shot, which haven't been uploaded yet. And heck, I don't know. Oh, nothing handy, and anything else is too far away for me to get up with this bum leg. I'm afraid. I like this science fiction stuff, and of course Star Trek. That's what Star Trek is my primary science fiction, because I remember watching Star Trek first run, although where I lived and for the time I couldn't actually watch it. I only remember watching one episode first run, and that was Amok Time, and other than that, and then it got into some of the comics. But then when they started the reruns, and I was able to watch it after school, that's when I was going. So, birch leg, yeah, art to show. And hell, I don't know, nothing else. Unfortunately, no other art right within reach. What's over here? That's not even mine. What's that? Oh, that's something I need to get back to. I need to get back to working on the Renaissance Festival coloring book that I started last year. What's here? That's just a sheet of paper. Oh, one of my early versions of Spider-Man J, and then I redid that on the smaller pages. And no. And like I said, nothing new. This is all just stuff that I have shown many times on my when I shoot my regular videos. I love the comic strips, the Phantom, but I don't have much of the way of the Phantom in comic strips. I'd like to. I think I only have a couple of books of comic strip, I have never seen the Phantom movie serial. I would like to see that. It's probably on YouTube. I don't know. Tarzan, and my favorite Tarzan. There's Flash Gordon. Dun, dun, dun. And I said, I'm thinking of doing Flash Gordon next month. Fin Fang Foom. I love me my Marvel monsters. And this was, I didn't write his, oh, I can't read it. Corgilla. Corgilla from Marvel Monsters. And my own interpretation of Bigfoot. And another Marvel monster. And of course, King Kong. And all of these have been on my videos. And Robot Monster. I get a kick out of that one. And of course, our horror friends, the Crypt Keeper, not from the as he appeared in the TV show, but as he appeared in the comics, the Vault Keeper. Yeah. And here's Nightwing, but this is the original Kryptonian version of Nightwing before. What's his name? Before Dick Grayson took the name when he got rid of Batman. Got rid of Batman when he got rid of the Robin identity. You know, watch the Mystery Science Theater 3000 riff on Robot Monster, and it was really cool. I've seen a lot of clips, but I have never seen the entire movie, and it's probably on YouTube as well. Something from Romance Comics. Another thing from Romance Comics. And yet another thing from Romance Comics. And yet one more thing from Romance Comics, but it's my version of a Roy Lichtenstein swipe from a romance comic. So, and this is just a little experiment of doing a black and white image of version of Batman without any line work. That was just an experiment. And oh, I like the way this one came out. This was from the Witching Hour, the Three Witches from the Witching Hour from DC Comics, and of course Kane from the House of Mystery, and then we have Hepzibah Grimm from Grimm Ghost Stories from Gold Key Comics, and all of those are depending on whichever video you happen to be watching. So, if there's nothing else, then it's been 32 minutes. That's pretty long, and I gotta hobble around a little bit, pick stuff up, and then rush up to the store so this can process and upload. So, I want to thank you all for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Oh, yeah, habit. And but I want to thank you for joining me for this live stream, and maybe you can join me again sometime. And unfortunately, I don't, as much as I'd like to watch more live streams. It's just that unfortunately, they're usually at an inconvenient time for me. But that's so. Thank you for joining me, and I'll call it quits. Bye for now. So bye for now. I'll get this one. Bye for now, and now see if I can remember how to shut this thing off. See you later. It didn't go away.